Well, welcome into the Real Monica Adams Show. And for some of you, you are literally just coming in with us. Others, you're going to find us after the first 15 minutes. You know, it has that Monday feeling to it, even though it's Tuesday. You go into work and you expect everything to... Actually, it started with me yesterday because we started a challenge with my clients. And I said, okay, I just got home after an 8-hour drive. We went to pick the dogs up and I need to get my 30 minutes of my cardio in, okay? And I went down to get onto the bike. Bike didn't work. And I was like, well, whatever. I at least have mobility. My legs are moving along, but I can't do the resistance. Went upstairs to eat a salad, one of those bag salads, and it was frozen. So see, it's following me back from Alabama, evidently. There were some bugs in our software system, but now it's gone. So it's always that feeling of positivity that brighter days are ahead, right? Even when something tries to knock you off, you just keep a smile on your face and you say, this too shall change. Well, folks, we're with you, whether you are just tuning in or you're coming back into our stream. Let me give you a little background again, because some of you are just hearing it about my guest. And today, a show I definitely want you to pass along to your friends and family. Laura Storm, the co-founder and executive director of Foster Together, a nonprofit organization serving vulnerable children and families caring for them throughout the St. Louis region. Foster Together provides practical support and community connection for children that are entering foster care and relative care through programs including clothing and essentials, safe seats, safe slumber, explore fostering, and Together at Home. Let me bring my guest on. Welcome, Laura.
Thank you so much for having me.
You get a chance to see all the behind the scenes craziness.
I love it. I love your positivity always.
Well, you just have to keep rolling with it because you're like, well, this too shall pass. Whatever. Let's just start the show over again. Good to see you again.
You too.
She and I had a chance to go to breakfast a couple of weeks ago, and we want to thank, by the way, Amanda, if you're watching, thank you for introducing the two of us.
Thanks, Amanda.
She's like, Monica, both of you have this really wonderful positive energy, and you all need to meet each other and go eat together, which we in fact did. So let's go back. First of all, congratulations. I mentioned in our first stream that you got an award from my old TV station, from Fox 2 and KPLR. So I'm glad that you are being recognized for your passion and your mission.
Thank you.
How did it all start?
Well, it was very unexpected. In 2017, I was a busy mom of 4 kids, still am, but at that time, my kids were 2, 4, 6, and 8. I was at home with them full time, and I just felt like God had something for me. I didn't know what it was at the time until we went to visit my husband's relatives out of town, and at the time, they were fostering 2 little girls. And that was the first time that I'd ever experienced being in the same room with a child in foster care. Mm-hmm. I had heard statistics, I'd heard horror stories, but until that moment, I had never really just met a child in foster care. And all I can say is that experience changed me. And I came home, and just every morning when I woke up, those girls were the first thing on my mind. And I just started asking God, what do you want me to do? I don't even know any foster parents in St. Louis, right. And so I started asking a lot of questions. I started listening to stories, seeking out people who had experienced foster care or were foster parents, and just listening. And I learned that most kids enter foster care with only the clothes they're wearing.
Yes.
And that most caregivers, even though they may be really willing to take in a child, there are tons of upfront costs for the kids. The state, the funding doesn't kick in for several weeks, maybe even months after the child is placed. So if they don't have the funds for a car seat, a bed, all the clothes, everything that a child needs, then that is a barrier between the child and a loving home. And so, when I thought about all the people that I know, my friends and my neighbors, if a child showed up on their porch tonight in need of a clean set of pajamas, a pillow, toothbrush and toothpaste, I know those people would they would want to do whatever they could to help that child. It's just that these kids are mostly invisible to most of us.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, you're right, because we can all be sitting in a room and you never know. You're looking around. Do you know if there's a foster child? Do you know if a child's been adopted? Do you know if it's the maternal or paternal parents?
Sure.
We don't. We don't know someone's story. But this is why we always say, Laura, to get out of our own way and start talking and asking
Yes.
questions, and then start asking, what can we do? Which is what
Yes.
we'll be talking about here in just a second. So you have this passion and purpose put on your heart, and come back. So you discuss this with your husband. Do you? What does he say?
He was just open, just listening. And I brought it up to some friends from church. We had been talking for a long time about how can we expose our kids to some projects or experiences that will show them that service is a way of life. We can go on a mission trip, or we can, serve at a different organization each month, but building relationships with people in need and serving as a way of life was something that we really wanted for our kids. And this just felt like the way to do that.
And you started in your home.
Yes.
And how long was it in your home, by the way, before you said, okay, we're busting at the seams?
We were in our basement for 3.5 years.
Yeah.
So when we started, it was a fun project. And I never expected.
God said differently.
Yes. But I'm so thankful that God only showed me enough to help me to keep motivated to take the next step without seeing too far down the road. Because if I had, that fear would have really kicked in.
Very powerful comment you just made.
I would have run at that time. So he was so faithful to just show me enough of the path forward, to give me direction, to help me to empower others to join without, letting the doubts and fear get in the way.
Again, folks, you just heard her say in the last 60 seconds, that whole aspect of faith and being the obedient steward to say, okay, well, you put this on my heart for a reason. I didn't pay attention to that room and that child for just a passing few minutes. I'm going to come back home. I'm going to do something with this. Now you understand why I brought Laura in on a Testament Tuesday, right? It's the faith-driven aspect of our Tuesdays that we've absolutely loved. And so you come back, you start this, and you start talking to your family and friends. How do you even begin this?
Well, it was just as easy as starting a Facebook page, and just telling people, hey, I'm collecting clothes and shoes for kids in foster care. If you have things to donate, let me know. I will store them at my house. And then when foster families have a need, we'll give them away to the kids that need them.
Well, who were you working with at the time to find these families?
I had this really innocent faith that I would find the people that God wanted me to find, and I met one foster parent from my church, and she kind of led me to some others, shared the page. And when you meet one person that opens the gate to a whole new community, that's where I was. I was standing at this open door, and it did not take long for the connections to be made. And it was really great. People started reaching out. We started getting messages. I just got 2 kids in the middle of the night, 5-year-old boy, 8-month-old girl. Here's their sizes. Can you help? And the amazing thing was we could just say yes.
That is so were you getting phone calls at all times of the day and night?
It was mostly Facebook messages.
Okay.
And yes, and it was so fun because I'd be in bed and get a message, and I'd tell my husband, okay, I gotta go downstairs, and I'd start packing clothes and start making outfits for kids, and just feeling like I knew God was using me. And that is just the best. That is the most fulfilling feeling.
Are y'all getting chills? And again, this is what could be waiting for you. We just have to, if you feel inside of you, don't you agree, Laura, that there's this burning of something else. There's something else. That's what you felt. There's something else. Here she is, and I wanted to say it so bad when she said 2, 4, 6, 8, and I was like, who do we appreciate? Laura! We appreciate God and Laura together.
Yes.
This is a Testament Tuesday. We're talking about Foster Together and this whole community working hand in hand. By the way, there's the information on your screen of where you can follow them on social media at Foster Together Mo, and then foster-together.org is their website. So So you have this in your basement, and then I'm sure friends and family start to say, oh my gosh, you can't do this alone. I need to help you as well. Did you start
Yes.
seeing people come out in droves?
Sure. And from day one, we had a group that was excited to do all this work together. It was definitely not just me. And so, yeah, as we continued to grow, though, we started pulling more people in, and we had our volunteer day was Wednesdays. We had our regulars who would come over to my house for 3 or 4 hours, sort through the donations, and then we had a delivery team of people that we built that would come to my house, pick up, go deliver to all across the St. Louis area to make sure that families had what they needed and weren't having to, come to us. Yep. And we still run by that same model today. We still have that delivery team. Now it's over 70 people.
Yeah, I wanted to get to that because when you and I went to breakfast, you were like, Monica, here's the thing. Yes, I was contacted and I was a recipient of this award, but I don't know, it's not me, it's not about me. And you very much wanted to say, no, let's look at everybody else. So many people have come together to help us do this, and then let it grow and see the amount of people that are part of this with you and the amount of family. Do you know how many families have you helped?
We've helped almost 7,000 kids
Holy
since we
Lord.
started.
Wow.
Yeah.
Look at that big smile on her face.
Thanks, God.
So exactly. So for 3.5 years, again, you're in the basement. When do you know it's time to take this even larger?
We got to the point where we were consistently serving more and more kids. The growth was continuing, and we were running out of space in the basement. We had built extra shelving units and using every square inch of space, but we knew that there was more to come. And it was a big leap of faith when we moved into our retail space that we're in now. When we started, we didn't have a need for any funding. Someone would hand me a $50 bill, and I remember thinking, like, what should I even do with this? And it seems funny to look back on now. But that's when we started thinking, oh, we could buy new pillows. We could buy laundry detergent, different things like that. But building up, a funding stream to be able to sustain the costs of rent and utilities and all these things, it really was a big leap of faith, but God took us there.
Again, if you're just tuning in, Laura Storm is our guest, Foster Together. And we're telling the story so that you can then share this, because it's remarkable about what they're doing, but it really is all of you as well, right? She can't do this without those that are helping her, and then without all of you continuing to donate. We're going to talk about some events coming up, one in July, which is a breakfast and free school supplies. We'll also talk about the gala that's coming up in October. But what do they need? How can you as a community come together to help this continue to flourish as it is? We'll talk about all of that. Don't go anywhere. More with Laura Storm when we continue.
What if you could start your day feeling loose, relaxed, and ready? Deep hydrotherapy, right in your yard. No commute, no appointments, just warmth, relief whenever you need it. Sore muscles recover faster, tight joints loosen up, tension you carry all day, gone. Relax with your family or friends, or work out with our Michael Phelps Edition swim spas. Worried about maintenance? We have factory-trained service nearby whenever you need it. Plus, we're here for you long-term if you have any questions or need to refill supplies. You can even test spas at our showrooms. Spas and More, A+ rated, locally owned for 20 years. We put the ah in spa.
Welcome back to the Real Monica Adams Show. We're thrilled to have you along with us. And I mentioned earlier, if you are brand new to the show, maybe you have followed Foster Together, or your friends and family of Laura Storm, welcome aboard. We'd love to see you and have you interact with us every morning at 7 a.m. We do this show about positivity and hope and inspiration, and know that there's a greater purpose in all of us. On Tuesdays, we do Testament Tuesday. We tell the testament of someone's story, someone's business. How did it all come about? Again, what are they doing for our community? She's doing wonderful things. She and her team doing wonderful things together. Foster Together. Again, we talked about the story of how it all came about. Who picked the name, by the way?
My good friend Rachel is an amazing, she's our communications director, and she is an expert in branding and all the things. And she and I, you know, tossed back and forth so many different names. But in the end, it was just wanting to send this message that we're all in this together, and this is the whole community coming together to foster these kids, whether they're in your home or not.
Again, and it is that word together, it gives us hope, doesn't it? It's like
Yes.
we're not solo in this,
Yes.
even though the kids feel like that. You know, we've had, Laura, a couple of stories that we've done over the last few years that she mentioned earlier when we first started, we all don't realize, one, that someone has fostered or that they are a foster. And then what does that look like? What is that life like when they're first taken out of that home? We had a gentleman on, and he talked about many times Monica, it's in the middle of the night, like Laura just mentioned. They're being pulled out of the homes, and many times their stuff was tossed into a trash bag. And he's like, think about how that makes them feel. Trash. Right? We've got to give that dignity back.
Yes.
You agree with that?
Oh, yes. And that was one of the main reasons why we wanted to move into the space that we're in, was so that we could create a space that felt good. You know, and there are other foster resources across the country that are doing great work, but a lot of them are set up in a way that was just not the model that I knew God was leading us to. You know, we have our store set up, we call it the boutique, and it is there to provide a shopping experience for the kids. You know, everything is free when a family comes in to shop with us, but we have all the clothes on racks, and we have a lot of new items. And we have, you know, we say that if we wouldn't put it on our own kids, it doesn't go in our store.
Yes.
And, you know, people will say, well, it's better than nothing. And I wholeheartedly disagree with that, because it's all about giving them dignity and showing them their worth.
Absolutely. Right? Know your value,
Yes.
right? It's
Yes.
so very powerful. Yes, because you think about that and say, I don't want to just say, well, here, just throw anything on, because it'll make them feel I'm less than.
Yes. And the community has been so generous. We don't have to settle.
Yeah.
We can give them the newest styles. We can give them brand new tennis shoes. We can give them toiletries that are in the brands that, you know, are best for their skin and hair. And if we have that generosity coming our way, why wouldn't we give that to the kids?
Laura, what's the greatest need that you see when people are donating?
Some of our greatest needs are, like I mentioned, the athletic shoes, new pajamas, bedding sets. You know, those are things that can be a larger cost right away, but we always make sure we have athletic shoes, pajamas, bedding in every size, so that when kids come in, you know, they have what they need.
I'm going to look at comments. By the way, feel free to drop a comment in. You know, say, I know she's not going to want it all on her, so you can say, way to go, Laura, way to go, all of you that have had a role in this. Any kindness you want to show, because that's the greatest thing that we all can do, is show kindness to each other. Feel free to drop any comments in. Amanda said, Laura, you are so incredible. We're so lucky to have you in our community. You bet. Absolutely, 100%. Let me look at some of the other ones. Good morning again. Yes, because we were on before. Rita said, so proud of our daughter and the mission of Foster Together. I love being a part of Laura's vision every day. Family, you lift us up, right? That's so very important.
Yes, couldn't do it without my mom.
Love this so much. Emily, do you know Emily Stelzer?
Yes, she's one of our staff members.
Emily's putting a heart out there for you. So yes, like I said, hello to all of you that are just finding the show for the very first time. We're thrilled to have you along with us. And be sure to share this, by the way, with your friends and family, so that your followers and your family and friends and those that you work with can also know about this wonderful organization. I mentioned, by the way, a couple of events that are coming up. One in July, a breakfast and free school supplies. So tell us about that.
Yeah, so we are so excited. This will be our 4th year of having our back to school event, and we really try hard to have all of the school supplies that every child who registers will need, and then they get to shop for those. They get to pick out a backpack and then go through the line with their actual school supply list and make sure they get everything they need on that list. They get their headphones and their water bottle and then all the other things. If they need 4 packs of crayons, they get that. So that the goal is when they leave that event, the foster parent may not have to buy anything, and instead of giving them a backpack that just has the same thing for every kid.
Right.
So, and
it's
then
individualized.
yes,
Yeah.
and the family gets to have a breakfast together. We're going to have some booths with some other resources there. Home State Health is our main sponsor, and we're so thankful to have community support so that, we can have an outreach event like this.
And again, let's put that back up on the screen for those of you that are just tuning in, because we know it's like every second. This is the date for you. So it's in July. And tell them again where it's going to be held in the time frame.
At St. Thomas Holy Spirit Church in Sunset Hills. And that is going to be in the morning from 9 to 11. And we do ask that all the families register in advance. But if your business is interested in doing a back to school supply drive for us, we would love to talk to you about that. We have collection boxes we'll bring to your business. And it's just a great way to get involved with serving the community.
Right. So businesses and families, community alike, an opportunity for you. I love how you said that, because again, everyone's different. Every child has different taste. It's not like here and then the kids are like, oh, that's not really what I like. And they would still be appreciative, obviously.
Yes.
But when they can have it as, oh, I get to choose.
Yes.
Can you give us before, and we're also going to tell you about a gala that I want you to get involved in, but can you give us some stories over the years since you started this? And some of you may not have heard from the very beginning. So tell them how long Foster Together has been around.
We've been around since 2018, and we've had so much growth since then. But I may have told you this when we had breakfast, but there's a story that always comes to mind about school supplies. And we had school supplies in our shop because a lot of times, even after school starts, kids will come into foster care and maybe that backpack didn't get passed along to their, to their foster family. And so they'll come to us and we'll make sure they have everything they need for school. Well, there was a 15-year-old boy who came into the shop, and he had just been newly placed with his foster family, and we were making sure he had clothes. He was taller than me, and I'm a tall woman, so he was a big guy, and he was looking at the school supplies, and I said, oh, do you need some of these for school? It was past the fall, and he said, yeah, and I said, oh, let's get you a backpack, and, do you think you'll need some notebooks and some pencils? And I noticed he started tearing up. And I put my hand on his shoulder. I said, Bud, are you okay? And he goes, I can take all of this for free. And it was, to me, I was kind of, taken aback because I'm like, this is pencils and notebooks, but I found out, I went over to his foster mom and she said he hadn't been in school in 5 years.
Oh my goodness.
So since he was 10 years old, he had not been in school. And the thought of going back to school with a fresh set of school supplies brought him to tears. And it still gives me goosebumps and still reminds me this is the important work that we get to do. And it is so simple, but yet it's changing lives.
It absolutely is. And I love the fact that we get to do,
Yes.
right? You look at that and look at the blessings that God has provided you. You are doing his work. And that's the thing that we're all supposed to be doing while we're here, while we're blessed with breath in our lungs. It is, what can we do for him? And this is what she's doing. I mean, think about all the lives that she has changed. They have changed. I know you don't want it on
Thank you.
That they have changed together, and that you have as well, that you have helped out. Okay, let me go back to some comments. Feel free. Again, we love being live with you because we get a chance to interact with you while we're on. Rachel, Laura, and Foster Together are truly a blessing to the foster community. That's from Rachel Queen. We have Cindy Barton that says, we were foster parents. Many of our kids would come with hardly anything. You could see lost hearts. To give them the smallest piece of dignity with nice clothes and things they get to pick, things that will be theirs. What an amazing organization. Didn't know of your organization. We have retired from foster, but look for ways that our business can give to the kids.
Oh, that's great.
Cindy, I'm so glad you're watching this morning. And many times God will tell you when you're supposed to be watching a particular show. That's what I really feel. Okay, we mentioned the gala, by the way. This is your first ever gala.
Yes.
Congrats, by the way.
Thank you.
So that's coming up on October 3rd.
Yes.
Okay, so tell us all the information, what's going to take place that night and where it's being held.
It's going to be at the Missouri History Museum. We're going to have a silent auction, live auction, and it's just going to be a celebration too, a celebration of our mission, of our community partners, and the work that we're all doing together.
And so 2018, you start, you're in your home for 3.5 years, you get out of that and you're just like, we're growing, we run out of space. We have all these thousands of families and children that we've been able to help. Now you say, what's the next step? Okay, now we need to have a gala. When did you know that was coming?
Well, my good friend Tyler is on our board, and he is more than a board member. He is kind of the heart of our organization in so many ways. And he has been talking to me about this for several years. You know, we have a bingo night fundraiser every year in the spring, and it has done exceptionally well. And he's ready for the next step, you know? And so we just started, you know, pulling more people that had the skills that we needed to put together this gala. And it's going to be awesome. We're so excited.
Well, understand that when you are putting something together like that, it is no small feat. You'll understand, as you probably already do, as you're leading up to it. But then it's the exhaustion, the sheer determination, and then at the end of the night, what in the world, look what we just did together, right? Fostered together. And then you start planning the next one.
Yeah.
How many tickets do you have?
Well, we only have one table left.
Oh, look at you. Wow. Oh my gosh.
So
you know you need to keep doing this.
We have so many amazing sponsors, and we're excited to bring people to the event that maybe don't know about Foster Together.
Yeah.
You know, and so we've started planning the gala for 2027 in a space that is double the size, because we know that we can fill the room.
Once again, so there is a table left, one table,
Yeah.
right? One table that could go to you or your business.
Yes.
Tell them how they can get that table, the timing again of when it will be held and where it's being held.
Yeah, so October 3rd at the Missouri History Museum. We would love to have your business sponsor. We have lots of sponsorship opportunities. If you go to foster-together.org and click on the Gala tab at the top, you will find all the information there. And you can also call or text us at 314-789-3340, and I'd love to talk to you about it.
So we're talking about, besides obviously raising money so that they can continue to do the things that they're doing, but it is these essentials that you can give as well. So throughout the year, you know, obviously you mentioned you have the different events that you hold, but if someone's saying, I'm just hearing about this organization, I absolutely want to help, they can help in many different ways.
Yes.
So the greatest, again, is from a donation standpoint. Do you have like an Amazon wish list that they can go to and they can find?
Yes. On our website, you can go to how to help. And there are all kinds of different ways there, even from just starting with joining our e-newsletter subscription. So you can sign up to receive our newsletter once a month in your email, and then you'll get updates about what's going on, our future events, and then also our biggest needed items. So we'll say, hey, we really need laundry detergent right now, or we really need toddler and baby socks. And then you'll know. Our Amazon wish list is updated all the time with our biggest needs also, and those get shipped directly to us.
And you're helping children that are from what age to what age?
Birth to age 21.
21.
So they age out in Missouri at 21, and so we have clothes and shoes for preemie up to adult triple XL.
Okay, I wanted to ask that because I thought maybe it was 18, but okay, so it varies by state?
Yes.
Okay, but in Missouri. And you're helping all throughout Missouri, or does it also go over in Illinois?
Also in Illinois. Last year we served 108 zip codes and 21 counties in Missouri and Illinois. So we have a really far reach, and part of that is because of our amazing delivery team volunteers. They deliver in St. Charles County, St. Louis City, St. Louis County, and Jefferson County. Wow. And you can sign up to join our delivery team on our website also, and you can tell us what area you'd like to deliver to. So if you are in the Jefferson County area, you can just sign up to receive texts whenever we have a need there. And we just rely on those volunteers so much. And we also love our in-store volunteers. So we have some people that love that retail setting,
Sure.
you know, hanging clothes, organizing. When we receive a request for a child in need, we get to be their personal shopper. So we might find that, you know, there is a 10-year-old boy who really likes Minecraft, and a 3-year-old girl who loves princesses. And then we get to pick out all of their outfits. Every child receives 10 to 12 outfits, two pairs of shoes, 4 sets of pajamas, a toy, some books, all their toiletries, bedding, backpack, household supplies, And our volunteers get to be the personal shoppers for each of the kids.
It feels like Christmas to these kids, their birthday,
Yes.
right? And then you're able to see this beautiful reaction on their face. I love that you said that earlier, Laura, because again, think about this. And I do want you to understand that when you're donating, if you donate it monetarily, obviously they can get a chance to go and purchase that. If you are actually giving physical donations, make sure it is something you would be proud of to put on your kids when they walk into school or they're around their friends. But what child doesn't want to be hip, doesn't want to be in the know, right?
Yes.
They're like, oh, I follow this or I follow that, or this is hot on TikTok and oh, I'm going to get this particular brand. They're able to do that
Yes.
thanks to you instead
For
of
sure.
you're an afterthought.
Yes.
You would never want your child and you wouldn't want these children to feel that way.
Yes. And all those moments we have in the shop where we get to see the kids' faces when they see the toy wall and it's all brand new toys and they get to pick out anything they want. Those moments are only possible because of all the community support we have, because of all the churches and schools and organizations, businesses that have come together to send the message to these kids that you are not alone. And that is just so impactful for all of us at Foster Together, but then for everyone else in the community to witness what's going on.
And then are there several organizations that do maybe something similar, but then have their own niche, it's a little bit different, that you
Sure.
all come together also?
Oh, yes. Yeah, we all, everyone in the foster care community, we have one goal. And that is to serve these kids and to love them and to support their caregivers so that they can sustain this really hard but important work, and we know that when the caregivers are supported, the outcomes are so much better for the kids. They have more stability and they can know that their future is stable. And so all of us, the foster agencies, the nonprofit organizations, we're all working together, and it is a really beautiful thing.
Foster Together. So where do they go from here? That's going to be my question. So let's think about that one. If there are any questions before we wrap up here in the next 10 minutes, please drop them in right now. Or if you're rushing off, and we get it, you have your own kiddos you're rushing them around. They're off school right now, but maybe they're wanting to run around with you, or you're heading off to work. Feel free to come back to this. Again, it is being streamed. Our library of shows, your best bet is to subscribe to our YouTube channel. That's free. Subscribe. I wish they would change that word because it sounds like you're paying. Subscribe to our YouTube channel or follow again any one of the streams and then come back maybe on lunch or later this afternoon and then share like crazy so we can continue to spread the love of what Laura Storm and her team are doing with Foster Together. So where do they go from here beyond the gala in the coming years? Let's find out next.
I was just on the Real Monica Adams show, and it was really a good experience for me. When I walked in, the building is just peaceful. The environment is beautiful here. Monica really made me feel welcome.
The Monica Adams show allows people to be themselves. It's really important to share kindness, to be real, to offer stories and things that will give people hope and a reason to smile.
Rather than waking up aggravated, disappointed, and wondering, where's this earth going, choose to wake up with something that'll put your mind and your heart in the right direction. Start with Monica.
Welcome back to the Real Monica Adams Show. Thank you so much for tuning in, and welcome aboard, by the way, to all of the newbies that are joining the Monica's Maniacs that have been watching for 3.5 years. That's what they call themselves. Now you can be a part of it. What does that mean? It means that you wake up to positivity. You wake up to things that serve you, and then incredible stories like what we're talking about today. Foster Together. Laura Storm, again, is our guest. And we talked about some things that are coming, but we also have these wonderful programs that they're doing that we want to go a little bit more in depth about. So tell us about Safe Seats and Safe Slumber.
Sure. So, when we started asking questions and listening to stories, some of the themes that kept coming up were caregivers that said, I got a call, there's a baby at the hospital, they need you to come in the next couple hours to pick up. And if that caregiver didn't have the car seat, to go pick the child up, they had to say no.
Yeah.
And we just really were heartbroken by that. And so we started a program called Safe Seats, and we order the car seat for the caregiver. This is within the first 5 days of a child coming to a new home. And we order it from Target. We text them the pickup barcode. They can go to Target, show the code, and go straight to pick up the baby or the child. We do all the way from the newborn car seats to backless boosters, whatever is needed. But it has just really reduced those barriers between these caregivers that are willing and the child, because everything is so urgent in foster care.
Sure.
We have kids.
You want to make sure you have the tools to be able to carry out.
Yes. And then our Safe Slumber program was born just a few years ago out of kind of the same thing. We had stories of, great aunt really wanted to take in, I remember these 3 boys, and she did not have the funding to buy a set of bunk beds and another bed. And so those kids were going to end up in a traditional foster home with people they didn't know, which would have been okay, but we know the outcomes are way better when the kids are with a relative.
Sure.
And so I'm like, well, why don't we just buy her the beds? And she was so thankful, And I was just remember laughing because I'm like, you're getting 3 rambunctious boys. But she was just beyond excited because, we ordered them on Amazon, shipped to her house, 3 mattresses, the bunk bed and a twin bed and all the bedding, 3 new pillows, mattress pads, and she was all set, along with everything from our boutique to give them the clothes and shoes, toiletries, toys, everything else. And it really is providing that wraparound support. We're not just dropping off a few things. It's saying, we're going to really listen to what you need, and we're gonna wrap around you, and this village is here.
That's very clear. You just took the words out of my mouth. You clearly, since 2018, have listened to the families, have listened to those impacted by the work that you're doing of, can you all do this? Here's another thought of something that you can do. Those beautiful brainstorming meetings that I'm sure that you have over and over and over again of, hey, we heard this from a family. Hey, we haven't thought about this. Let's do this together, right? Because every day we're still figuring it all out.
Yes,
And then he's giving us the advice of do this.
Yes.
Do this now. So again, Safe Slumber and Safe Seats. And then tell us about the new home.
Yes. So we are so excited. We're going to be expanding really soon into a building that is really close to where we are now so that our boutique can grow and our donation processing area can grow. Right now we have the tiny space that we're trying to get through all the donations, and our community is so generous, but now we're going to have so much more space for the families to shop, and then our current space will turn into an administrative and education center so that we can continue providing support to the families. We have a mentor program, we have recruitment classes and continuing education classes, so we're just going to expand in every way.
I was just going to talk about the educational side of it because, again, you want to be thinking about every level of what a child needs. So educational classes to help the caregivers grow in their skills.
Yes.
Helping the kids think about what they've gone through, the trauma that they experience.
Yes.
Again, the lack of the dignity, almost the labeling that they probably put on themselves.
Yes. I mean, there is so much trauma involved in foster care. No matter how loving and supportive the foster parents are, it's traumatic for the kids. And so giving the caregivers the support they need to lead them through that is really important.
And for them to understand that they are valued, as we talked about earlier, that they are wanted, because it's very easy to feel like, oh, was I just tossed aside? Why wasn't I wanted?
Yes.
And then they find this wonderful family that does. And it's also the aspect of, we haven't touched on, is the mindset of fostering and what they can find out, in order to be that person that does that, because that is so needed.
Yes. And we're really passionate about recruiting good foster parents, finding people in our community that don't know yet that they can do this, and so we provide a setting called Explore Fostering where families can come get their questions answered. This is before they would sign up for their training classes. This is just to ask questions. What is needed? Do I need to have, 3 extra bedrooms in my home? Do I need to, have have my dog locked up. There's a lot of people ask certain questions that they think is going to invalidate them from becoming a foster parent. And we love just to be able to support them in that way.
Well, the other part, Laura, that I want to have you end on this one is the mindset of who is in the foster care in the system, who is a foster parent, what these children look like, right? I know you're saying that's the thing that I hear from people over and over and over again of them going, oh, foster, I don't think I can do that. I also don't think I could adopt because I don't know the stories of where these kids are coming from. I'm sure you hear that over and over again.
Yes. We hear people say, I could never foster because I would get too attached and I wouldn't want to give them up. And my response to that is every child needs someone who would be heartbroken to give them up. And that child is worth any grief that it causes the adults in their life by leaving, and the goal of fostering is stability for that child. Stability. Whether it is going back to their birth parents or staying, in the with their foster family in an adoption situation. And so we started our Together at Home program to really support kids at any spot in that journey, from the time that maybe their family becomes at risk of the children ending up in foster care, all the way through the time where kids reunify with their birth parents. And so we're flooding support to both ends of the spectrum for the biological parents to get support, because sometimes it is simply poverty that is keeping a child from their parents. So if we can provide a car seat, a bed, clothes, resources to give those birth parents a little bit of a boost of support, then we can keep families together, and that is creating generational impact.
And again, we understand that not everyone can foster, but you can do some component of what we've been talking about today. So I want you to think about this after you've watched this and you feel moved. Maybe you want to volunteer. Maybe you want to join. Are you hiring within your...
Yes, actually right now we are hiring a community engagement manager.
Okay.
So trying to bridge that gap between what we're doing in our shop and the maybe corporate partners that want to get involved. And we have had so many more businesses come in and volunteer with us. When they have like a release day from work, they'll send 10 people to come volunteer at Foster Together. And so we're looking for someone to just work with those groups and, build our capacity to really grow in those relationships with those businesses.
So community engagement manager, if they think that maybe they are good for this, what's the best way for them to get in touch with you?
Yeah, they can reach out to me at laura@foster-together.org.
Okay, and one more time, we're going to put on the screen how you can find them and how you can get more information. And yeah, Stephanie just said this is awesome. I know. And Stephanie, by the way, thank you for who you introduced me to, because she knows Laura, Amanda at Eve's Restoration Home.
Yes.
Yes.
Oh,
so I talked with her
Amanda
yesterday. Stephanie, thank you for introducing us, by the way. So here's how you can find out more on social media at Foster Together Mo or foster-together.org to get all the information. And again, and follow along in their journey, getting a chance to open up this new boutique, you having the opportunity to donate and to volunteer, maybe get that last table at their first ever gala, which is coming up on October 3rd, or that you are involved in the event coming up in July. Again, the breakfast and the free school supplies. There are so many levels. I mean, look at all these beautiful pictures of what they've done and gone from a dream and a vision and a purpose in a basement to this.
Love it.
Laura, thank you so much for
Thank
being our guest
you.
on this Testament Tuesday. So at the end of every show, we do a devotional, and I always let my guests choose. So we have books called 100 Days to Freedom from. One is shame, one is anger, one is depression, we have fear and anxiety, and then we have 100 Days of Healing. Which one are you feeling we all need to hear from today?
I think the last one.
100 Days of Healing?
Yeah.
All right. That's the big one that's always chosen.
Oh.
We'll do that when we come back. And then remember, by the way, if there's ever a guest that you think would be fitting for a Testament Tuesday or really any one of our shows throughout the week, shoot me an email, info@therealmonicaadams.com, and let's tell their story. Laura, thank you so much. And to all of you, stay tuned. Our devotional coming up next.
What if you could start your day feeling loose, relaxed, and ready? Deep hydrotherapy right in your backyard. Relax with your family or friends, or work out with our Michael Phelps Edition Swim Spas. Worried about maintenance? We have factory-trained service nearby whenever you need it. Plus, we're here for you long-term if you have any questions or need to refill supplies. You can even test spas at our showrooms. Spas and More, A+ rated, locally owned for 20 years. We put the ah in spa.
What a wonderful organization, right? So again, folks, be sure to spread the word about the great work that they're doing and that you can do with them. Foster together. What a great community that is. Help them get to where they are and where they're continuing to grow. So Laura chose 100 Days of Healing. It is a book that's chosen a lot because it just gives us hope, right? So this is day 25. It's called Press On Toward Healing. Forgetting what's behind and straining toward what is ahead, I press on toward the goal to win the prize for which God has called me heavenward in Christ Jesus. This is Philippians 3, verses 13 through 14. So in the four Gospels, we often see Jesus asking people who come to him for healing, what do you want me to do for you? Instead of automatically healing them, he engaged them and made them think and talk about what they deeply desired. So I want you to think about the ways that God has worked in your own life. If you've known Jesus as Savior a long time, did your maturity as a believer happen overnight? No. It took time. It took discipline. God works with our personalities, our talents, our environments to bring us all into a place of transformation. And unless we understand and participate in his process, pressing on with endurance and faith, we will not reach the level of wholeness and sanctification that he desires for us. So if Jesus were to appear in front of you right now and ask, what do you want me to do for you? What would you say? Think about that. I love for people to journal. It's a wonderful line for you to think about for the rest of the day. Think about that. Pray about it. And if you keep a journal, record your thoughts. Then ask the Lord, what do you want me to do for you? Listen quietly to what he says, because many times it's in a whisper that we dismiss. Journal about his answer as you hear it get a little louder and louder, and then it smacks you in the face. And then you're like, yes, run towards that. The Lord help me to press after God forever. John Piper says, the question is, are you pressing on to make Christ your own? That is, are you resolving day by day to count Christ as your supreme treasure and count everything else as rubbish by comparison? And C.S. Lewis, which I love, says, God knows our situation. He will not judge us as if we had no difficulties to overcome. What matters is the sincerity and perseverance of our will to overcome them. Here's your prayer today. Jesus, I know you desire my freedom and wholeness even more than I do. Transform me from the inside out as I press on toward all you have for me, and help me to work with you, not against you, in the process. Amen. Good one today.
Amen.
Good one, Laura. I love that. Yeah, Stephanie, you have a good one as well. Amanda, love Foster Together, Laura, and their mission, such a need in our community. That's from Amanda Douglas.
Aw.
All right, everybody. Thank you so much. And again, we love these Testament Tuesdays. Let us know about a wonderful story of hope and inspiration that we can put on a future show. Just shoot me that message at info@therealmonicaadams.com. Tomorrow, we talk about Wellness Wednesday, and we'll be talking again with Trisha Rhodes from Exist Stretch. I was just walking by the Hampton location last night, actually. We were picking up the dogs. Thank you to Laura, by the way, my sister-in-law, who watched our dogs, and I was like, oh, there's Exist Stretch. I think they had just closed, and I thought about it, and I'm like, Jim, did you tell your sister to get in? Because everyone can get in, go in and get a free stretch.
Oh, wow.
Oh, it is. It's amazing. I said we're coming off of an 8-hour drive, and my body needs it so bad. So once you get in there and you experience that, I doubt that you'll only go in for one. But if you go in for one, at least your life has changed that day. So Wellness Wednesday on tap through tomorrow. By the way, we always tell you the same thing at the end of every show, just to kind of drill it into your head and into your heart. Believe in yourself. Know your value. Understand that you have incredible worth, and God will place it on your heart for whatever your purpose in life will be. The greatest thing you can do is believe in yourself and to be kind. God bless you all.
The Real Monica Adams Show is brought to you by Exist Stretch. Stop by for your free consultation and 30-minute introductory stretch today.